analysts, the media, fans, and everyone is really starting to speak out about specific changes that need to happen with the Cavs and the negative that is going wrong specifically in the playoffs. And it's looking like massive changes could be coming in this offseason, but many are also agreeing with the fact that they could just be running it back with the exact same team. There's a lot to cover as the radio show 92.3 The Fan, a very, very well-known one in the Cleveland area, Nick Wilson has given a big opinion on how he feels about the Cavs, what's going wrong, and what should happen. And his very, very serious tone says a lot about the Cavs. Thank you guys for joining me at Cavs Digest. The fuel keeps on fueling. People are really starting to speak out about a lot of things, and it's really, really showing that people are starting to care about the playoffs more than just how the regular season practically means nothing at this point. And I'm really starting to love that people are showcasing that. But let's break down what was said on The Fan. But first, hit that subscribe button because you get all these rumors, reports, fun topics, everything about the Cavs. Opinions, literally everything about the Cavs is what we cover here at Cavs Digest. So hit that subscribe button, drop a comment about your thoughts. I'll ask some questions about the video that I want to hear from you guys about. But of course, let's talk about massive changes and kind of what people think about massive changes in general and just what implications lead to massive changes. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So of course, 92.3 The Fan is a very, very popular talk show in Cleveland. Nick Wilson's on the left. He's the one that spoke out. I'm just going to play a video first, and then I'm going to talk about the quote that was most highlighted from what he said. So here is the video for you guys.
If this was a 7-game series against Indiana, or if last year, it's game 7. Teams lose game 7. Coin flip, right? I can lose that way. I can't lose in a 5-game set again like this. And that calls for change. That calls for hard change. And that'd be tough. And by the way, you can screw it up probably easier, get it right. But this is what good organizations done. Boston has done the same thing. Now, they don't have a core 4. Their core 2 has stayed intact. We might get to a point this offseason where the 2 isn't intact anymore. Like, if you want the consistently
change across the NBA seems like it's almost it's just a conclusion at this point. It seems like all these teams are changing as often as they can.
That's the you have to make. You want to keep watching Darius and Donovan together and Evan together, or do you want to win a championship? That's the choice. If the Cavs are like...
Okay, so I'm going to pull up the quote that was kind of big. It is a little weird to me, but so this is the big thing. That's a choice you have to make. You want to keep watching Darius and Donovan together and Evan and Jarrett together. Do you want to win a championship? Basically, he's saying that these 4 guys are not going to win you a championship. And that is what I'm saying, that at least, I don't know about this offseason specifically. I'm going to break down my honest thoughts about, like, I've hinted at a couple of thoughts here and there, but there's something really, really big that I do need to talk about that the Cavs must do if they want to win a championship surrounding their core 4. And as of right now, it just seems to me that this core 4 is likely to be broken up eventually if they don't win a championship. Now, of course, if they run it back and they end up winning this year, then I don't see them just getting rid of the guys. But as of this second, it is starting to lean to the fact that these guys will not be together for the long term. And that's specifically what Nick Wilson said. These guys cannot, like, if you want to keep these guys, go for it, but you're not going to win a championship with them. And this leads to my next point of what Chris Fedor actually said. So I just think that when you're at a point that the Cavs are at with their roster, the way the season ended, and their salary cap situation, you have to start considering some alternatives. You have to start having very difficult conversations, painful ones. For now, though, we should believe Altman, the Cavaliers, and their core 4 of Garland, Allen, Donovan Mitchell, and Evan Mobley are highly likely to remain in the future. But remember, he said you have to start having difficult conversations and painful ones. Of course. And the big thing he said, like, trust Altman. Guys, no GM is just going to be like, yeah, we gotta trade these guys. No GM is going to say that. I'm starting to think that no matter what Altman says, yes, it is more likely that they run it back with the core 4 due to the second apron BS. But... and if they want to make 1-for-1 swaps, like Billy made 2 great videos on 2 great backup big men. These 2 guys right here, Steven Adams and Valanciunas. Trade Isaac Okoro straight up for these guys. The Pelicans is the current team. Valanciunas is on, I believe. And you can get Isaac Okoro straight up for him. Like, the deal does work. And they could use a guy like Isaac Okoro who could play amazing defense and shoot some threes in the corner. They could use that guy. They're not using Valanciunas, really. Robert Williams was a big one that we talked about at the trade deadline as well. And it would be great to see him as well. Steven Adams on the Rockets. Like, these are all guys that could be pivotal pieces at the backup center position that they definitely need to cover, because I truly believe, guys, that Jarrett Allen should not be a Cav next year. And that's the one thing about the core 4 that I want to talk about here today, is that I do not believe that Jarrett Allen should remain a Cavalier, and that's my personal opinion. I think he was great in the regular season, but the biggest part about these videos, right, about massive changes, major implications, stuff like that, is that it's starting to become a realization for people that the playoffs is the only thing that matters, and we can't just be talking about a guy's regular season success. I bring it up because it matters to GMs. As fans, it doesn't matter to us. We only want to see our team win a championship. We won 64 games. That 64-win season was really, really cool to enjoy. It's not as cool to enjoy if you lose in the second round to the Indiana Pacers, who just won game 1 of the NBA playoffs. So, if we lost to the NBA champions, it doesn't hurt as bad. But, of course, it stings. Still stings to this day. And these are two guys that they should really look into acquiring. Robert Williams is just rotting on the bad Blazers bench. The Blazers are bad. Just get rid of Robert Williams. We'll give you Isaac Okoro. Let's do it. That is another thing that we desperately need to do, is try to find a backup center. That's the big thing in the offseason they need to do. But the biggest thing that you kind of hear on the fan is that, when you see, or what Fedor said, they talk about how you need to have these conversations, no matter what this needs to be talked about. And even though we should trust Altman because he said the things about the core four, that absolutely does not mean that they're going to that they're going to stay. Because there's in no world is Altman just going to go out and talk negative about his players. I truly believe that the core four is going to stay together, but I would not be surprised if Jarrett Allen and Darius Garland leaves or gets traded at all. I wouldn't be surprised because those are the two guys that you desperately need to get rid of. And you need to talk to Kenny Atkinson about it. You need to be like, dude, you have to understand DeAndre Hunter has to start, and you have to tell Kenny Atkinson that. Kenny Atkinson has to get more physical up here, and that is the biggest thing. If everyone was more physical and less soft, you wouldn't have to make any changes at all. Unfortunately, Halliburton proves it a lot. You either got it or you don't, and he has it. He wants the ball. He doesn't want anyone else to have the ball in the fourth to the game-winning shot. He says, give me the ball, I'm going to hit it. He's on a miracle run right now. Yes, it is a miracle run, but he still has that mindset, like the game is in my hands and I'm going to get that bucket. The Cavs do not have anyone that has that super strong physical mindset. And that's why the Cavs need to go acquire a backup center to fill in for the softness of Jarrett Allen, the bum bench of Dean Wade and Isaac Okoro, and massive changes are going to come this offseason. Even if it's not the core four, there's going to be big things that are going to be addressed, because even with the second apron, you have to sign Ty Jerome to a cheap deal. You cannot sign him for all your money and afford losing him. You can lose Dean Wade, you can lose Isaac Okoro, you can use Jalen Tyson as a trade piece. You have to make changes no matter what, and I'm really happy that the fan called it out and that a lot of people are starting to realize and starting to talk about how the playoffs is the one thing that matters the most, and losing a Game 5 to the 4-seeded Pacers is embarrassing. So I talked about a lot of things here. Of course, these are the playoff results that we just hate to look at. It just can't happen. That's the years with Donovan Mitchell. It just can't happen. The year before that, they lost to the play-in to the Atlanta Hawks, which was a very, very hard game, actually. That game was really, that was a depressing moment as a Cavs fan. But, of course, you just can't get out the second round. This is sad. This is sad. Changes need to happen, guys. This doesn't. That's why Fedor said you have to have these hard conversations. It's the literal truth. You have to have them. You have to talk about Jarrett Allen. You have to talk about Darius Garland. Those are the two biggest guys that you have to talk about. These guys. These are the two guys you have to address. I personally think Jarrett Allen's the biggest issue in the Cavs, and I think a lot of people will agree with that. And as Nick Wilson said, you either are going to keep watching these guys or you're going to win a championship. You cannot have this core four together. They're not good enough. They're not physical enough. Darius Garland's too small. He's too bad in the playoffs. He's terrible in the playoffs. Jarrett Allen has very minimal effort against other centers, struggles to box out, and is super soft in the playoffs. That I could really, really see something big happening this offseason, and I want you guys to keep an eye on it, because the media is understanding, because now fans and the media and analysts are trying to make trade proposals, trying to start rumors, trying to really do so much that's pushing everyone in a direction to think something's going to happen when it could completely not. But it's good to see that there are media and fans that do understand. There's a lot of them that do understand that this playoff failure erases the whole 64 wins, and you have to make changes. So thank you guys for joining my Cavs Digest. I know it was a very, very intense video about these changes and what people think about these changes, including Chris Fedor, who we've talked about as a source a lot of times, and also Nick Wilson from The Fan. Two big people to get Cavs news from. So shout out to both of them. And of course, this offseason could be ridiculous for the Cavs. So you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything. And as always, I'm Matt Plangy. Thank you guys for joining me.